We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years, approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the number 2 population for 400 years. You're going to get kicked out of being number 2. You're going to go down and become number 4. Now, common sense, even a third grade education would tell you, if you didn't get anything when you were number 2, you all jumped ahead of me, but anyway, you can guess what you're going to get when you become number 4.
President Biden, do you support reparations?
Well, let me, since I haven't spoken on this, get a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 of our 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest. Which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. And this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
We are owed $104 trillion on the very low end, plus $735 billion recurring. This number does not include the cost of about 50 Black Wall Streets that were decimated, nor compound interest from 2017 when Sean D. Rochester's book, The Black Tax, was published, nor the cost of Black life, nor the cost of living increases, nor the war on drugs, nor the current day pandemic. The number I'm working with is for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives. Good afternoon on the West Coast. Good afternoon in the mountain. Good afternoon in the central. Good afternoon on the East Coast. You know exactly who it is, family. Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest on the Reparationist Perspective, bringing you those ADOC's hot topics and making the case for reparations. Making the case for weaponizing our vote, socializing our suffering, and this afternoon, we've got Prime as my guest here to talk about Freedmen and why we should go back to referring to ourselves as Freedmen. He's here to make the case for why we should refer to ourselves as Freedmen. Now, you guys already know I'm all about unflattening blackness so that this country, at every branch of government, can understand how they've legislated us into the anchor of the Titanic called America with 3 Ks, to hold down its capitalism, because why? Capitalism needs a bottom caste, and their plans are 100 years old with respect to making sure American descendants of chattel slavery eat the cost of slavery, and that the wealth white people have stolen, they killed and then stole from ADOX, is being used to benefit immigrants and white folks and LGBTQIA and the rest, right? And so I refer to us as ADOX, as one of the co-founders of the ADOS movement, as inspired by Yvette Carnell, the former ADOS movement. I no longer associate with that hashtag movement. However, I have a lot of comrades whom, we became tethered to one another in this fight for reparations. And so, although I'm not a part of the hashtag ADOS movement anymore, I identify as other things now. It was a great opportunity for me to still stay connected to ADOS, the lineage, right? Because there's the hashtag movement and then there's the lineage. So I am one of the proud co-founders of the movement, as inspired by the teachings of Yvette Carnell. But we had to part ways because we didn't view movement work in the same way. I wanted to move with the assembly, who was all about changing policies and impacting legislation. And so just couldn't come to a meeting of the minds, but it does not mean that it doesn't mean that I don't love the people who stayed with the movement, because we're all in this together in the fight for reparations. They refer to themselves as ADOS. I refer to us as ADOX. And the C is for chattel, because I've been on quite a few panels where white people believe that they are entitled to reparations and that they were enslaved, when in fact what they were was indentured servants. So for me, putting in chattel puts up the gate. And this is something none of the groups can claim, as this country has been instrumental in trying to pretend like we're immigrants, like we don't know the truth of our history in this country. Now, albeit some are native to this country before it was even named America, we've got some native blacks, some foundational Black Americans, which is another term that a whole nother group that's fighting for repair. They refer to themselves as FBA. I refer to us as ADOX. There's also B1, Black First. That's Jason Black and the Black Authority, refer to themselves as B1. So we are and then there's Freedmen. And that's how we got to Prime. Prime asked if he could please have some time on the platform to make the case for why we should all collectively go back to referring to ourselves as freedmen. So without further ado, let me bring him up from the lobby so we can get into it, because family, please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Oh God, I always forget that. Thank you for your contributions to the channel. It has enabled me to be able to pay for a fire intro, a fire outro, and some fire logos for the branding of the merchandise that's coming soon. It is my goal to educate the masses and advocate for ADOX full time. And with your support, I'm one step closer to being able to do so. So thank you in advance. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up Prime to make the case, and you guys are free to chat. I don't see all of you, okay? I don't even know what this number is, but I often go to Facebook and see that I've had all these other people watching. So I'm streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So I don't see all of you. And when you're commenting, I think I can only see the comments from YouTube. I don't think I can see anybody's comments. But after the show, I'll be sure to double back around to show you guys love. But if you want for me to see your live chats, you have to come over to YouTube to the Reparationist Perspective channel and we can chomp it up. So let me bring up my guests. Stand by. Thank you for your patience. Hi, Prime. There you are. I'm going to make us full. I don't need all that background. That's too much. There he is, Mr. Freedmen himself. Hi, Prime.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much, Angela, for allowing me on your platform. It's a beautiful platform. You're beautiful. That intro was very beautiful, especially Dr. King's part. So yeah, we coming.
We here, baby.
Yeah.
We are here. And yes, I love that bit by the late great Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. You know, not many people know that he was executed because those last 3 years he was pushing for our reparations under the umbrella of the Poor People's Campaign.
Exactly.
But that was what they were okay. White folks were okay. We're giving us access to the restaurants and to the toilets and thing of this nature. But when King started talking about that check, that's when they went about their nefarious plan to take him out.
They didn't have a problem with us sitting at the table, but when it came to owning the restaurant or even being able to afford the burger, and then some, that's when they had a problem. Definitely.
Real talk. Thank you, Brian, for joining the chat. He sends love to you, Prime, Brother Prime, in the building. So you've already got people jumping in.
Respect.
I spoke with Be the Power, my other favorite vloggers. I love all of us in this fight, and I was trying not to step on toes, but Naheem was like, Angela, we go on whenever we please on Sundays. We don't have a set time. And that's how it is with ADOC's life, Freedmen life, right?
That's
we
right.
get in where we fit in. We don't necessarily have a window that we can commit to because we're too busy advocating for the reparations and the Black agenda. So please let us know a little bit about you. How did you come to this fight? Are you a part of us who were the original founders of the former ADOS movement? Or did you just, are you on Be the Power with Naheem? How did we get here? Let's talk about it.
First off, I would like to say Freedmen on deck. I became a part of this because, I am a part of the BTP platform, the Be the Power platform, where they talk about not just fighting the power, which we've been doing for so long, but we want to be the power. We want to be in positions of authority to not only write the laws, but write the laws for our Freedmen family and Black people specifically and exclusively. So I'm familiar with Brother Naheem, my cousin Steve. I'll call him Steve, but he's Ali.
Oh my gosh, you're Ali Bay's cousin?
Yeah. Wow. Josh, Brother Josh, and Dr. Logic. So, and also Grim, all that. And I'm obviously a Freedman myself.
I love it. Okay, so you've been moving in this space and in this fight for a long time because if I'm not mistaken, Be the Power's platform has been around since 2009. I might be wrong, but I know they've been around far longer than me. I just started 2 years ago this month after getting involved in the fight for reparations. So it's great to have you on our platform. Now, could you give us some history? I don't know if all of our people, you know how they don't want our real history taught. That's by design of getting comfortable with having killed and pillaged all of our 60 Black Wall Streets. They even pillaged the Freedmen's Bureau Bank.
Yeah.
They've done everything in their power to guarantee, well, they're working to make us the permanent anchor of this country's
Mm-hmm.
capitalism. I spell
Mm-hmm.
both with 3 Ks. So I
As you
don't know.
should.
I don't know if a lot of my viewers from all over the globe, if they really know that we used to be identified as freedmen. We've been
Yeah.
called so much, but could you give a little background as to how we were named freedmen, the history of the freedmen, and then I'll ask my next question.
Well, just like you stated, we were identified as freedmen, according to the United States Code, Title 8, Chapter 4. You can read that yourself, you, the supporters. Big up to Brian, and other people in the chat and other supporters. You can look that up. It's a extensive history of our people, our specific tribe with the specific and exclusive history here in America. That name was given to us during the Reconstruction era. And yeah, we identify as American freedmen. Our lineage ties to chattel slavery here in America. We are foundational to the wealth and the creation of the wealth here in America. And then even we still maintain the economy today with the exploitation of the freedmen population and other black people. But we talk about the freedmen today. So the freedmen population who are here today, and everyone thrives and owns and controls our narrative and our history and everything, except for us, the people who are, um, directly responsible for this country.
Absolutely.
You know,
Um, so you concur that we were made into the anchor. I've
absolutely.
been up against a lot of what's the word I like to use? Aspirationalist people that aspire, like they want to come in my feed and they're from different parts of the globe and they've got
Okay.
this advantage of being over here.
Mm-hmm. Thanks
The
to
wealth that
us.
they have amassed, well,
Right.
actually, the wealth that they were set up to eat from, which was we were
Mm-hmm.
killed and was stolen from us by the
Yep.
whites.
Yep.
They get to eat off of that blood money, but yet
Mm-hmm.
they somehow believe magically, while being neutralized economically, that we are supposed to pull ourselves up by our bootless
Right.
straps,
Right.
and they pretend as
Right.
if they weren't given certain advantages. The immigrants
Yeah.
pretend like they weren't given certain advantages that were built off of our ancestors' heinous chattel slave labor. So
Mm-hmm.
they come in my feed and they want to say, start a business. When I talk
Mm-hmm.
against the institutional systemic racism that
Mm-hmm.
has weaponized our own affirmative action against
Fact.
us, by design of institutional systemic racism, to make white folks and immigrants the new white,
Facts.
in order to make sure their capitalism has a bottom caste, because that is what is required
Yep.
when you're dealing with capitalism. Did you want to share some thoughts about that?
I do. I think this is why Friedman is so powerful and so important. That political status, that identification, because as you can see, we'll have like African immigrants, not all African immigrants and other people who share our melanin, and they get to migrate over here and benefit off of the freedom fighting and civil rights work that our ancestors have done, and then they look down upon us and act like, well, what are you doing wrong? Because I'm black and I'm able to do it. So what's wrong with you? I think that's a problem, and I think that's why it's so important that we reclaim our freedman name. It's very important that we reclaim our freedman name. This game that they're playing is still the same, and we must reclaim our freedman name. We've gotten set asides, benefits. Even the Freedmen Borough Bank, that was a real bank. as you stated, that was a real thing. That was there were benefits that were given directly to us to help empower us and to help elevate us out of the economic conditions and the damages that was put on us. So when we talk about the freedmen, and this is inclusive of women as well, by the way, and children, um, we're saying that that is the political status of us. That is our identity, and it ties back to the history and of America here and what we've done in our contributions and our history and our culture, everything, you know.
So, what makes it advantageous for us? Why would it be advantageous for us? Like I mentioned at the top of the show, I stuck in chattel in the acronym that we were birthed in
Mm-hmm.
as American descendants of chattel slavery because
Mm-hmm.
white people claim to be descendants of slavery in this country when in fact theirs was indentured servitude
Right.
and it was
Right.
never as heinous as what
Never.
we continue to endure because I've
Mm-hmm.
shared often about the cotton picking truth where you can see slavery still happening in the deep recesses of the South. And
Mm-hmm.
Barack Obama and Congress are fully aware that it's going on. And there have been people from the Deep South trying to fight Congress to stop the slavery that still persists in the Deep South. And they refuse to, of course, because their palms are greased to
Mm-hmm.
ensure that we're enslaved and we're not really even free because we've got peonage to this
That's a
day.
fact.
We've got a private prison industrial complex. That's a whole nother crop of not so new slaves. Over 2 million black men in prison, more than all the women in prison throughout the entire globe. We've got our children. This is what's really startling for me is that our children are 15% of the US population. Black
Mm.
youth are 15%, but we are 41% of the detainees.
Right.
And so this
Right.
is a direct result of the preschool to prison pipeline
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
we get in our schools, and our same property tax dollars are funneled into the white communities to give the white children who don't need public school a private school education on public funds. That's what they're doing. They're taking all of the best from that money and they're just like in my neighborhood, they just took the money out of my neighborhood, which is
You're from
slightly
Cali, right?
urbanized, and then they put it into the white schools and tell us, oops, we're too full. Your child can't get this caliber education
Mm-hmm.
even though your child was reared in this level of
Right.
education, we're going to kick her back into the jungle and break her spirit in order to get our API scores up. So white
Mm.
folks will allow you to use your public school dollars out here where I stay
Mm-hmm.
to pick school of choice for your children. You're free to get education alongside white folks until you reach the fifth grade. And at that point, they limit the number of school of choice. And of course, we're all gunning for the top three and kicking all the black kids back to the hood
Mm-hmm.
where they know not of. You know, it was one of the
Mm-hmm.
biggest challenges my daughter had transitioning to high school, where some of these hood schools now attend these high schools. You can't keep them out of there. So my daughter had challenge with even being bullied because she don't know the jungle. She knows a white,
Mm.
pristine, fundamental
Mm.
primary school education
Okay.
amongst civility. She
Okay.
don't know about the jungle. So when she gets to high school and gets a taste of it, anyway,
Mm.
I've gone on far too long. I wanted to
No.
find out, honey, I was born to talk.
So good.
So
I was born
please
to listen.
forgive me.
I'm a good listener.
Thank you, Prime. But could you please share with me what is the value? And I know the value in keeping chattel in their face. I know the value in that, to me, is our justice claim. Can you tell me the value in referring to us as freedmen instead? Is there political value to that? Is there economic power in that? Like, go ahead.
The value in us being called freedmen is the we have to disaggregate ourselves from blackness, because blackness is a very general term. It can include people or black people whose lineage and ancestry does not tie into slavery here in America. So an African immigrant will be considered black or whatever, but he would not be considered a freedman. So all freedmen are classified as black people, but not all black people are freedmen. Does that make sense?
Oh,
So
yes.
the exclusivity, the exclusivity, you know what I mean. I don't know what I'm saying, but the exclusivity of it, the specificity of freedmen is the value in it, the political status and the protected status as that freedman citizenship is the value in it. And on a tangible level, imagine instead of saying a black owned business, it will be called a freedman owned business. The
I
name
like that.
the name in itself is powerful. I know you like it. You love it. I love it. So that name in itself, it displays the specificity in our history. It shows our citizenship here, our contributions here. It acknowledges what we have done. Just like the Jews, you'll never see a Jew with a police officer's knee on his neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. And if you did, all hell would break loose. We need that type of political power. We
Yeah.
need that type of economic power, that specificity, that status, because we are the people who have created this country. Chattel slavery here in America is the greatest crime in human history, and it's still in progress today. So, so um, that's the value in it. Just imagine another Freedmen Borough Bank or a Freedmen University or Freedmen Credit Union, Freedmen Communities, Freedmen Wall Street, um, Freedmen Hospital, that we can name after Freedmen people like Madam C.J. Walker, Harriet Tubman, obviously Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. John Henry Clark, Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. You see what I'm saying? You can even start your own community center or whatever you want to do. And I believe you're from California. Yeah, and you can name it, Angela Nirvana, and you know what I'm saying. So that specific history of ours is special, and we must use and maintain that power, and we must put up political barriers to protect our history and our culture and our narrative, and to own it and control it. See what I'm saying? It was the freedmen who literally fought for their freedom in the Civil War. In the Civil War, we fought for our freedom, and if it wasn't for the freedmen, we would have lost. This may have been called the United States of the Confederacy. We don't know, because we beat that ass. We won. We won. We won. They won because of us. Prior to the freedmen, the North was losing. That's a fact. That's a historical fact. And prior to the freedmen joining forces and fighting for their own liberation, fighting for their own empowerment to protect their women, their wives, their families, their children, they were big contributors and the deciding factors of us winning the Civil War. So that's the value. I hope I answered your question, but that's the value in the freedman's status, the political value, the exclusivity, the specificity, all that.
Well, you not only answered my question, you got me contemplating dropping ADOX.
Whoa! All right now, let's go, Angela.
Yeah, that's pretty
I
huge.
appreciate
And
that. Wow.
you got Mr. Ali Bay,
Uh-oh.
your cousin, is
Let's
in the
go.
building.
Let's go.
And Brian, I thank you guys for
What up,
welcome.
Steve? Steve, what up?
I don't know him as Steve.
All good.
But
Go
yeah,
ahead.
these brothers have already impacted so many in the former ADOS movement. I've been in some circles where the name is changing to include Freedmen.
Yeah.
So shout out to Be the Power brothers and yourself, Prime,
Thank you.
because you guys are making far more of an impact than you probably even recognize.
Thank
But
you.
in my advocacy circles, there's been a shift. And now I'm learning why,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Mm-hmm.
great. I'm really digging it. And
Yeah.
it feels great. I mean, it feels just as it feels just as, what is the word I'm looking for? Uh it packs as much a punch
Mm.
as chattel.
Mm.
I'm trying to come
Mm.
up with a term, but it's as in your face as
Yeah.
chattel.
We could
If
call
I
it.
were to use chattel, because that's what I needed, something stronger, and that's why I
Okay.
went to ADOX.
Right.
But
Right.
Freedman is a constant reminder of what
Mm-hmm.
you've done to us.
Right.
But at the same time, it feels far more empowering
Mm-hmm.
than to, and this has been the argument for people from the diaspora who, oh, by the way, were caught up in the slave trade. Many of the
Mm-hmm.
Nigerians, anyway, I've not done the history on all the African groups in the country,
Right. Right.
but I know down here they are sick per a 2014 Color of Wealth LA report, which it's a free download, family. I'm not making stuff up. They were
Mm-hmm.
60,000 liquid to ADOX to Freedmen.
There we go. Let's go, Angela. I
Freedmen
converted you.
200 liquid. Okay. Yeah.
Converted you. Conversion.
I'm a quick study. I learned quickly, but this has been great to have you on here because I'm already feeling the pride in that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so they descend from slave traders, and what you'll start to learn,
Right.
and
Right.
I'm not saying all Africans or
Right.
all
Not
Caribbean or
all.
even all immigrants. I'm
Not
not
all. Of course.
flattening the disdain for
That's right.
freedmen in
That's right.
this country. I'm
Not
not
all.
doing that. But what I do want you to understand is what you saw happening to the Haitians is because of this country's uh, theft of their land
Mm.
after
Let's
they
go.
won their independence from the French.
Let's go.
So the United Snakes of America with 3 Ks, they are constantly trying to keep the poor revolutionaries, I don't know how revolutionary they are right now. They're running from their own peril. We stayed. Now, whether we stayed
Mm.
because we didn't have nowhere to go, maybe that was it. But I'm just
Migrating from their
saying,
reparations, migrating away from their reparations.
yeah.
Yeah.
My thing is, in Africa and in the Caribbean, you may have leaders that look like you, but they're still black, white supremacists and
Facts.
black, white
Facts.
oppressors when they
Facts.
take from you and get in bed with the likes of the United Snakes of
Mhm.
America, Europe, Asia. Listen, you
That's a
got
Freedman
enough
fact.
sellouts. Okay. So what I'm trying
Mhm.
to get the people to understand, Prime, is that the only people that are truly allowed into this country are people who will be black, POC, white
Mhm.
supremacists, white oppressors.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it
That's a
seems to
fact.
me like that shifts for many of the Black and POC migrants,
Mm-hmm.
around 50,000. That's when they start to get down with these class-based policies,
Right.
which we all know don't fix race.
They
They're
don't.
all too happy to see the trillions that are owed to us being spent for their
On
advancement
everybody.
in this country.
Yeah.
I just did a show yesterday where I talked about this Hispanic family who migrated here, who's got 5 restaurants now. In
Wow.
the pandemic, they opened up their 5th restaurant.
Wow.
So you
Wow.
can only imagine the
Mm.
amount of pandemic money, which is our reparations that this
Mm-hmm.
government spent on
Mm-hmm.
this particular Hispanic migrant family,
Mm-hmm.
so much
Mm-hmm.
so that they were able to open their 5th restaurant, while many Black freedmen owned businesses,
Let's go. Come on.
many of those businesses had to close their doors. They could not afford to stay open, and they were not the beneficiary of
Yeah.
the reparations that was used in the name of pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I juxtapose that story to the one where we had freedmen who were offering cash to buy the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall and were turned down for a white or immigrant contractor. Here
Okay.
we have amassed the cash, don't need a loan.
Right.
We amass so much cash, it exceeds your asking price. You
Mm.
see.
Okay.
So this country with 3Ks will allow the migrant Hispanics to open up their 5th restaurant in Inglewood, in the same neighborhood they denied us
Right.
acquisition of a mall
Right.
that is in a Black neighborhood.
Right.
And now we're about 40%
Right.
to Hispanics 50%.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And we're far more degreed than they are, but they are beating the brakes off of us economically because the government at every branch has guaranteed them our reparations, which is blood
Mm-hmm.
money. That's what I
Yeah.
call it. They eat off the blood money of our ancestors' heinous chattel slavery, and then want to berate and disparage me for unflattening Blackness so we can
Right.
be seen.
Right.
Jump in, Prime.
And
I'm going
that
to take a breath.
and that in itself is the problem. Like, you want to prioritize other groups than the actual American freedmen citizenship or citizens who were born and raised here. Right? Like that, I have a problem with that. Now, if you want to assist other groups, okay, but you must prioritize the original citizens here, who are the American freedmen. You must prioritize the people who contributed into the creating of what is known as, you call it the United Snakes, I call it the United Hates of Black America.
Right.
So, yeah, you can't like, we still, justice delayed is justice denied.
Period.
You cannot prioritize other people's issues and then expect us to just pick ourselves up by our bootstraps. We still have never been repaired.
Well, this is the problem I have. And it's
We've never been
bootless
repaired for
straps.
the
We never
damage.
had no boots. And
Right.
when we did it from being in the deep red, okay, then they came through and burned it down.
Exactly. So even when we did pick ourselves up by our bootstraps, it was destroyed, sanctioned by the government, and destroyed by white terrorists and white terrorism. We were murdered. We were
Lynched.
murdered. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was one of the more peaceful, benevolent ones of us, and you killed him too. You killed him too.
While now he has a national holiday and they're constantly wanting to quote
Right. Oh, what
the
in
gentler
Martin Luther
side,
King? Yeah,
the
exactly.
revolutionary that was Dr.
Right.
Reverend Martin Luther King.
Right.
He wasn't all of this peace, kumbaya,
Exactly.
like they want to paint him out to be.
Right. And that's the problem, because they will do their best to control our history and our narrative. Not only have they colonized some of our minds, they have colonized the history books. They've
That's by
colonized,
design.
yeah, they
You
colonized the
see,
history books. You see that with some white people, not all, some white people, not all, who are offended just by teaching critical race theory, or teaching critical race
true
theory,
American
which
history.
is yeah, which is the history of white supremacy here in America.
Right.
So that's all it is. So people are offended by that. They don't want you to know. They want black people to get over slavery, even though the descendants of slave owners here are benefiting from it. The
Yeah.
descendants of the slave owners and other people who benefited from chattel slavery here in America are benefiting economically. They're benefiting politically. They're benefiting socially. Anyway, anything you name, they benefit from it. But yet they want black people to get over it and focus on other issues like LGBT, immigration. Like the Afghans, they recently came. How do you prioritize Afghan citizens when I'm from Harlem? I call it HBO, Harlem Bronx only. And I go to 125th Street every almost all the time, and I see homeless black people, and the streets is messed up. A lot of areas in the Bronx, Brooklyn, or wherever, just all over the country, not just in New York City. Even in Cali, I believe it's called Skid Row.
Oh yes.
It's nothing but black people who are homeless and just fucked up. Pardon my French, but not really. Sorry, not sorry. They're just messed up, and they're living under these economic conditions that have been imposed on them. We're not on a national level, on a majority level. We're not politically represented. Al Sharpton does not represent our collective best interests. Benjamin Chump or Benjamin Crump, he does not represent Black America. Joy Reid and all these other faces, Swollen Martin, they don't represent Black America. They are not. They are shills and talking heads for the Democratic Party, at best, at best, at best. Which is why it's so powerful and important for us to reclaim our Freedmen name. And I'm so glad, and I appreciate you so much, because you are a very intelligent woman. You're
Oh,
very
thank you.
beautiful,
Oh, thank you.
and you have seen. I think I was able to assist you in seeing the importance of the political status and identifying yourself as a freedman. Imagine that on a job application. Or are you? It wouldn't be black. It would be freedman. Imagine that. Imagine that on a job application. That political status. When you know, when the subconsciousness or the consciousness of America is like, oh, well, we have to take them into consideration now because they got some political power. You understand? We
Oh
have to
yes.
be the power. We have to take our justice is not going to be given to us. We are still fighting this reparations claim is a political fight, and you and
Yes, it
myself,
is.
we are on the trench. We are in the trenches. We in the
Yes,
trenches
we
with
are.
our freedmen family and our allies. We have to acknowledge the non-freedmen or non-black or white allies, even our Hispanic allies. We have to acknowledge them. They
Oh yes.
understand. They understand our plight, and they are here
Yes, they
to
do.
assist us. If we are the owners and the CEOs and the quarterbacks, they are the kickers.
Yeah.
They are the punters. You see what I'm saying? We are the
Oh
running
yeah.
backs.
No, I love our allies.
Yeah,
I just get
absolutely. They're the
vexed with the
descendants of
ones.
John Brown and Thaddeus Stevens. You
Yeah,
understand?
because the allies understand our true history.
Right.
The
Comrades.
brothers in the chat are, yeah,
Mhm.
they're comrades. They understand. They overstand. So my thing is, I I fight against the ones who
Right.
want to silence us with labels like xenophobia.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they want to paint me out to be homophobic because I talk against the agenda of the
Absolutely.
LGBTQ, the alphabet community. I
Right.
talk against that because
Right.
it's being weaponized against us
Right.
specifically with these little Nas X's and carrying on. And
Facts.
now you're coming into our children's Sesame Streets and confusing them about their gender. And now
Mm.
the CEO is apologizing to less than 1% of the entire country
Mm.
when Dave Chappelle disparaged Freedmen through all of the war on drugs and all of his
Right.
little skits. And
Right.
and then of course Netflix has that cuties kind of movie where they sexually
Right.
exploit
Right. Yeah.
our young girls for the pedo community, of which they're trying to get legalized.
Yep.
But I
I heard
am
about that.
called homophobic because I talk against any and every agenda designed to extinct the Freedman family.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in Freedman husbands and wives and babies.
Yes.
So
The
then they
original
call me
Trinity. That's
homophobic.
right.
And then I'm called xenophobic because I unflatten blackness. I talk about the data. I bring the data every time,
Information.
and nobody.
Yeah.
So these are ways, Prime, that they're trying to make us feel ashamed of
Right.
our
Right.
contribution
Right.
to building this country. Our ancestors
Mm-hmm.
paid with their lives to build the wealth they eat from, but they
Mm-hmm.
think names are going to slow me down from
That's right.
talking
Come on.
about their agendas.
Come on.
They have me all the way mixed up.
Let's
It's
go.
never going to happen.
Let's
I'm
go.
going to speak on it till my last breath, and I'm going to teach my free daughter
Let's
to.
go. As you should. You definitely
Let's
a
see here.
Freedman, Angela.
Do cool, man.
Angela
Welcome.
Freedman. Angela Freedman on deck.
Angela Freedman.
Angela
Okay.
Freedman on deck. You're
On deck.
definitely a Freedman, Angela, and I can feel your Freedman spirit through this monitor. I
Well, I
appreciate you.
appreciate you as I do all of my freedmen, especially the Power Brothers. They've been,
Mm.
working
Oh
on
yeah,
getting us to change our mindsets for a long while. I
yeah.
want to tell you that the cool man was asking, do you live in New York City? Oh, he's asking Brian maybe, but I'm aware of the race as I live in the state. Okay, we're at 3:57, and I've got to sadly abruptly close this out because I've got to go on Politics in Black Family. Now, listen, I can't stream it live because I can't share the
Mm.
mic.
Okay.
I'll be over at Politics in Black at 4 o'clock, which is in like 3 minutes. So please come over to YouTube and join us there. Prime, could you please come over there and chat? It's a reparations roundtable
Okay.
of some of the most brilliant freedmen minds
Let's go.
in the
Come
movement
on.
throughout the country, many of whom
Mm.
I partner with to get stuff done for the people, for the
Let's go.
freedmen.
We're gonna create a Freedman fist and throw haymakers at white supremacy. We're gonna make a Freedman fist and beat the hell out of racism and anti-blackness. So I'm a little
Amen.
slow. I'm a little slow when it comes to technology. I'm an idiot. When you
No,
could
you're
you send
genius.
me like the links and stuff for the
Oh, okay.
black politics so I can
Let me
just
ask
leave
Alice.
here and go right to
Allie
that?
Bay. Oh Lord, here they calling y'all. Okay, Allie Bay, please send in the link because Politics in Black is on the line and they're ready
Oh
for me
yeah.
to come. I
Okay.
love y'all, Black and Strong. Okay, I'm coming. I'm just shutting down a live. I'm coming right over. Thank you.
Send that to my
See,
DM.
that's my
Angela.
people. They
That's
want me
right.
over there. Huh?
Freedmen on deck. Freedmen
Freedmen
on
on deck.
deck.
Freedmen. Woo-hoo.
Let's
I
go.
love it. I feel proud as a free
Yes.
woman.
Let's go. Let's go.
All right, I'll see y'all over. I gotta jump. They're telling me right now. I love y'all, Black and Strong. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever Freedmen and its allies are,
go.
God truly is. Because
go.
family, you are the face of God, the voice of God, the body temple of the Spirit of the living God. Until 6 o'clock, family. We'll come over now. 4 o'clock. Politics in Black. Peace. Love y'all.
Peace,
Thank you,
peace.
Brian.
Can you send that to my DM? The
Ask
information?
Allie Bay or
Okay.
Brian. Can y'all send that over? Hit up Allie. He's got the link
Okay, no
open
doubt.
right
No
now.
doubt. No doubt.
I'm out of time. Peace.
All right. Peace.